What's up, nerds? Welcome to this late AF edition of Them Nerds. Jerry and I just finished watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the season, perhaps series finale. Pretty good, Jerry.
Oh, that was great.
I got to tell you, man. Well, we'll get to the end in a minute, but that end was on par with anything they've put on a big screen in the last decade plus that we've had MCU to contend
Absolutely.
with.
I think the whole episode was.
Yeah. Yeah. Had some questions last night about how they were going to wrap everything up. They did.
Yeah, they definitely did wrap it up. I don't know if I wrapped it up in a way that I felt like it did the season justice. I felt like it was a little rushed, but that's the same complaint that I had with WandaVision also. That it almost feels like it's like, oh man, we got a whole lot we got to get done. You got 25 minutes to get it done. Let's do it.
Right.
I
Well,
mean, they did it in a way that I feel like you didn't feel like you got shortchanged. I just feel like each of the wrap ups could have been an episode.
right. Yeah. Well, the thing about these shows is they're so good and they do such a good job of developing characters that, when you spend that much time building them up, you don't want to just like leave them hanging in the air. So, all right. Well, let's run down the episode. Starts off right where it left off last time. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, right off the bat, we don't have to wait. We get Sam in the new suit, and it's badass.
Yeah.
So good. Comic accurate.
Absolutely. I also got to really give it to Disney. Like, that first episode where we got that scene of him flying through the desert, I thought was absolutely fantastic. But then to see this episode where he's flying through New York, I mean, it was so clean, especially
Yeah.
for a TV show.
Right. Yeah. The all of that stuff, especially with him in the helicopter, was just like, wow,
Yeah.
good stuff. So we of course get to see George St. Pierre as Batroc. He returns. Uh, there's all kinds of stuff going on inside the building. Bucky stops to take a phone call and forgets that phones can move.
Yeah.
Just stands in one place.
I mean,
Operator.
he had full bars right there.
I texted Jerry during the episode. I think it's because he's used to phones that where you have to dial the operator and ask to be connected.
It's a party line.
Yeah. He says, "Rah, can I?" I don't know why he's.
Yeah. Hey, she. Carl, she.
KM, Carly Morgenthau, please. So, anyway, we get a whole hostage situation. We've got all these senators and ambassadors and whatnot, whatever the hell they're supposed to be, government bigwigs, the GRC doing their vote. They get pretty much all kidnapped, taken away. And this leads to a lot of very good action. And I think, of course, we just mentioned it. The helicopter Sam flying stuff was great. But I also thought they did a good job with the Sam versus Batroc fight scene.
Yeah, I think the fighting in the whole episode was really well choreographed, especially since the majority of it was done during COVID restrictions.
Right.
You couldn't really, I mean,
It's going to be an ongoing theme as long as we have Sam as Captain America. It's going to be an ongoing theme that he is not a super soldier. He doesn't have any superpowers whatsoever. It's going to be an ongoing theme that he's fighting these people who are world class warriors like Batroc, super soldiers like Carly, or like John Walker in the previous episode, and he's persevering, and I think that was like the theme that kind of went through the entire episode. This idea of there was a great line in there. Again, I'm kind of skipping towards the end, but there's a great line where he says, he's talking to Isaiah Bradley. Spoilers, he talks to Isaiah Bradley. If you're watching this, folks, you're going to get spoiled. We're talking about the goddamn episode that just ended. Okay. Anyway, when he's talking to Isaiah Bradley, he says, he's referring, of course, to the history of Black people in the United States. He says, We built this place, we bled for this place, and I'll be damned if anyone's going to tell me I can't fight for this place. And he's, that's like, it goes right along with the fight scenes, because he's getting his ass kicked many times, but he just keeps on coming back for more, which is great. It's great. So what about Bucky? What was Bucky doing other than taking ill-timed phone calls?
Yeah, he took like a 35-minute phone call and then decided going on a leisure bike ride. He's fighting, the Flag Smashers, and seems to be, handling his own. And then old crazy John Walker decides to come over and join the fight with his homemade shield, which I was really impressed that his welds were so well done. I mean, it really took a beating.
His high school shop teacher should be commended.
Yeah, especially on a curved metal. I mean, that's pretty good.
Right. I gotta say, I was as much as I hated Walker in these previous episodes, because we were supposed to,
Yeah.
I was really like pulling for him in here. I liked seeing him kind of like join the fight, help Bucky, and I don't know. Maybe
I thought, she's like, I'm not trying to kill people who don't matter. And then he's like, you don't think his life matters? And then, I guess it kind of resonates. The reason why he is doing it is because, you killed his friend. I thought that whole little sequence was amazingly done. Like, I mean, that was a very well done choreographed fight. I don't know what, I guess the only thing I have, which is the problem I have with the whole season about everything, is I don't know what the point was. Why are you taking them? Where are you taking them? What are you planning on doing with them? They literally drove 4 feet and she was already talking about killing them. What was the point? Just kill them in the building.
She just likes killing people, man.
Yeah. She's like, I guess we're just going to have to blow them up. They were just in a building. You had grenades. We saw you rolling around.
Right. They have guns. Batroc brought them a whole crate of guns.
So that's the part I just didn't understand. But I thought that's the sequence of Sam, basically lifting up the armored truck was pretty awesome too.
Yeah. And I liked, there was a huge moment in there that I felt like gave the John Walker character longevity that it otherwise wouldn't have had. And that was when he stopped fighting Carly to go and save that car from falling off the side.
Yeah.
And that gives you that hint, in the comics, of course, US Agent starts off as an a-hole. He's, having staged fights to make himself look better. And he ends up being, a pretty decent dude. He's out here, doing heroic things and whatever. And, that one moment kind of gave us as fans the inkling that could be where they're going with him in the long term here in the MCU.
Yeah.
And then of course, Sam holding it up. Again, the guy doesn't have superpowers, but there he is with his jetpack, and he now has the 2 like drone things.
Yeah, Wakanda really helped him out there.
Yeah, Wakanda forever.
I really thought that the suit was going to do more, though. It was like Wakanda was just like, oh well, we'll just take one of these rhinos for their leather and we'll build up a suit, but we'll give some badass wings.
Yeah, right. Well, I assume it's all vibranium.
Yeah, his suit are the wings.
The wings and probably the majority of the suit. I mean, he stopped a doggone helicopter. It literally crashed into him.
Yeah.
So, which was a super cool moment when he put the shield up and the wings over.
Yeah.
And, it was cool seeing all the people on the bridge being like, yeah.
Yeah. I also like how, they gave him some tech kind of similar to like what Tony would have, where he would be able to scan to find who, and as Mr. Rogers would say, find the helpers.
Yeah. Although I think he was looking for the people who are doing the opposite of helping. Well, no, he did have that really cool thing where he did the recognition on the woman in the helicopter.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of when he saw the footprints and he was able to say like, they went that way. That was.
And then cool he did that awesome barrel roll shield thing where he took the pilot out and kamikazed himself through the jet or through the helicopter. The ideas that they had for fight sequences on this thing was just crazy good.
Yes. That's something I feel like they've done really well with Iron Man with all of his flying stuff that they did, and with Captain America with all of his fight scenes with the shield. They always had really cool, innovative things that they did. And now they get the opportunity to do them both on the same guy,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. So, you know, my Mephisto hang up uh, for this show was the Thunderbolts. And I was hoping that we would see Batroc and Carly and John Walker and Zemo all sort of meld into this group, being kind of overseen by Val and or Sharon. Well, it ain't going to be Batroc or Carly. Spoilers,
Yeah.
they're both dead. Just who killed him, Jerry?
Well, that's what we forgot to talk about too, is that Sharon was also involved in this whole thing, looking like she was pissed the whole time. Uh, yeah, so Sharon comes in, obviously, and we discover what I've said since the first time I saw Sharon on screen, that she was the power broker. I said it at 12:01 or 1:01 on the first night that she was the power broker.
It's true. I can go back and if I can get past all the memes and dick jokes, I can find the text, I'm sure.
So
there's a lot.
So I definitely think that I mean, I don't know how much it was supposed to be a surprise. I think a lot of people figured it out going along, but she actually acknowledged it. Now, here's my thing: is I have a feeling that it's something that she had to do to survive. So, how long will that stay as her thing? I see her always having a loyalty to her friends, regardless of whether or not she is this methodical underground boss. So I could see something happening in the future where she has to make a choice and she ends up choosing her friends. But
yeah, I feel like if she's not, if she's not going to continue running this organization, she's for sure. I mean, we saw there was a post credit scene, in case you're watching this and you missed it, where she was pardoned and invited to work for the government again. The U.S. government, as we know, makes great choices.
Yeah.
In all things, and so they hired the power broker. And as she was leaving the place where she was having this pardon hearing, she makes a phone call and tells someone, "Line up our buyers. Super soldiers are off the table, but we're going to have government secrets and experimental weaponry for sale." So she's speaking to someone out there.
Yeah.
She obviously still has kind of a structure that she's dealing with.
I also noticed that when she's, which wasn't really explained, when she's having the conversation with Carly, when Carly tells her she's disappointed in her, and she basically says, "You had the opportunity to be as great as I am." Carly makes mention that all you want is your missile back, but they never really talked about any missile going missing the whole season.
Missile.
Yeah, that's literally what she says to her. All you want is your missile back. And then obviously from there on.
No. She said muscle.
That sounds like missile to me. But that girl did have a lisp. So then there's a firefight and Carly ends up dead. And by the hands of Sharon, who's smart enough to realize, well, I got to kill everybody who knows my secret. So she ties up the loose ends while still looking like a hero, while she herself is also shot on the ground. And I think that what leads from there is like one of the most beautifully shot scenes of any MCU movie. It shows Sam walking with Carly in his arms, which I thought was hilarious. And I actually text, "Dang, he just made Sharon walk back out of the building by herself. Like, the woman's shot. Who's supposed to be your friend?" And but it was the scene of Sam like lowering himself, obviously with his wings, carrying her down to the ground. And the way that it was lit by these spotlights from these riot lamps, and him slowly coming down. It was very reminiscent to a lot of like the Marvel comics. Like they would have these, one-off artists come in and that would do like these, almost like pieces of art, like, it wore so well. And I've seen that shot almost like verbatim. Usually it's with Angel from the X-Men.
That's what I thought. As soon as I saw that scene, the first thing I thought of was, well, they can't reuse that shot with Angel, I guess,
Yeah.
when they bring
Or
him in.
I mean, you could literally look at like a Michelangelo or like another artist, where they're painting an angel descending from heaven, and it's
Yeah.
the way that they shot that was just so amazing.
Yeah. It was very like Renaissance, like,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was great. It was great. And that leads me to my next point here. One of the things that it was kind of a question mark was, is there going to be buy-in for Sam as Captain America? Steve Rogers was beloved, you know, and going off of the whole thing with Isaiah Bradley saying they'll never accept a black man as Captain America. We have this kind of this plot device where Sam was basically on TV for all of the stuff that established him as the man that should be Captain America. He was on camera saving that helicopter. He was on camera being on the bridge. He was on camera on people's cell phones when he was doing all this action. And then he was especially on camera when he was sitting there basically like just like browbeating a senator
Yeah.
on international television, being like, showing the world that he's here to like stand up for everybody and he's here to promote fairness and he cares about the little guy. And it was like this plot device that allowed the entire world to see Sam as like that figure instead of just being
Yeah.
like, Steve Rogers kind of sidekick.
Black Falcon.
Black Falcon. Oh, that's Black Falcon.
I think Disney has found a formula after Black Panther in a way of bringing black heroes into the mainstream in movies, where it makes it where everybody it breaks the barrier of this idea of people thinking of what heroes need to look like. And so the way that I thought was actually very clever, the way that they did that scene, is this idea of which a lot of people will do when you speak to people who don't realize that they're being advertly racist, where they're talking to you like, well, you don't understand where we're coming from, where you're speaking to a man who obviously understands. First off, in this world, he was also a person who was blipped, that's come back to having
Right.
his life displaced and all this other things, but then also just a black man in America. And so, but to them, they look at me like, well, we're not talking about you, we're talking about these people who are pushing people out of their homes, which is a very a thing that people do when they try to rationalize their unknown racism. And so I thought that Disney being smart by saying that, and then having him give off this speech about, this idea of you are just as powerful as a god and as this girl. I mean, with the snap of the finger, you can choose to house all these people, feed all these people, or do nothing.
Right.
And so I thought that what they did right there with this whole situation is you're going to have a lot of people that tomorrow are going to be pissed off that he's Captain America and are going to have a lot to say about this idea of why do we need a black Captain America? But there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be just as excited about this character as they were walking out of the theaters after watching Black Panther. I almost called Black Falcon.
The Black Falcon.
After watching Black Panther, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And we also have Shang-Chi coming up, and I've heard from young Asian boys that I work with who have already started talking about this movie. They're already so excited for this movie. And, representation matters. And, this show did a very good job of kind of bridging that gap between thinking it'll never happen and being like, that's Captain America.
Yeah. And then they wrap up the show with Sam going back to Isaiah Bradley and, them having this discussion, and Isaiah Bradley basically saying that he was, I realize that you are someone special, like that maybe you could do what I couldn't do. And then they, bring him, brings him back to the Captain America Museum, and he shows him that he's made it a point to make him part of the history of Captain America also. And which is very important. There's a whole lineage of history of African American soldiers that were experimented on that for decades nobody knew about. Yeah. And so these are the things that we as our society, especially in America, have to realize that these are real stories, and so that these are real things that happen to real people that are considered heroes nowadays. deserve to also have that history heard. I think that was really smart that they did that also.
Right. Yeah, that was a great scene. And the guy that plays Isaiah Bradley, I can never remember his name, something Lumley. Um, such a great actor. And
Yeah.
that whole scene, which totally didn't choke me up at all.
Yeah.
Not even, no, definitely not. Um, great scene. We now have Isaiah Bradley cemented in the MCU as this foundational figure. And we leave Elijah Bradley, who we all know becomes Patriot. We leave him in a place where he can be openly proud of his grandfather, and his grandfather is not a hidden figure anymore. And he has, Sam after being Captain America. It's not a long bridge to cross for him to become a hero and become a leader and wear a shield and have that sort of image. It's waiting for him now. So who Sharon
Great
didn't
scene.
take care of? You know who Sharon missed out taking care of? Zemo. It's gonna come back and bite her.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we also have. Well, I don't know if it will because we also have a scene where we see John Walker introduce his new uniform that he is now U.S. agent with
Very
Val,
good uniform.
who Val seems to know quite a bit about Zemo.
Yeah.
Which I think leads to the point that maybe they're all working together.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's got to be it. I mean, you don't go out of your way to establish Sharon as being this kind of like omniscient power broker character who is able to take out Batroc and take out the Flag Smashers. You don't get that sort of a character established and leave out a loose end as big as Baron Zemo. So
yeah,
they're in cahoots. I know it.
All Still think that they really missed out on an opportunity to introduce some mutants, but that's just me on every episode.
And Mephisto.
Yeah.
All right. Do we see a season 2?
Absolutely.
I hope so. They need it badly.
I don't know if it will be a Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2. I think that Falcon has kind of cemented his position in his role now in the Avengers, but it left very open-ended where Bucky's at. And so I can see Bucky moving on to another, like it's almost like a trail of him figuring out who he is as a hero.
Right. And, we also have the further adventures of U.S. Agent to look forward to. So I think a season 2, in my opinion, should be a foregone conclusion. There's no reason why it shouldn't happen.
I agree.
Well, I'm sad it's over, but what's next? What's coming down the pipeline? Loki. I'm so excited about that one. It's going to be so good. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier is done. It's over. We have talked about it a lot. And of course, we have been telling you that if you like, subscribe, follow us on social media at We Them Nerds, you could win this Baron Zemo Funko Pop. Well, the next time you see us on camera, perhaps we'll give it away. What do you think, Jerry?
I think it's definitely coming up.
It's coming up. We're going to be giving it away. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off, sadly, from our talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
No, I think that Disney's really just proving the point that they have the formula to put out good stuff, because I mean they haven't slipped up yet.
They killed it.
Yeah.
They killed this show. It was amazing. I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
And they did and one thing that they did on this show that I feel like maybe we, the thing I'm most excited about, moving forward, are the characters who were introduced or fleshed out in this show and where they're going next. Obviously Sam and Bucky, but I mean, I'm super excited to see what they do with John Walker, Val, Sharon, Zemo. I hope we get all those answers in another season of this show, or some iteration of it, some version of it.
I think that they also were smart, and this is the first time that they've really done it in the MCU. Where maybe other than with Iron Man with Pepper, but Pepper was a pretty big aspect of the Avengers. Was the idea that they are introducing family members of these people, and within the comics, we all know that that's a weakness for when you're a hero, and so that leaves the ability for you to be, another way for them to get you, which I think is a really smart way of adding, these characters in. So, yeah,
Yep,
I agree. I'm ready for. Give me a season 2. Give me a season 3. Give me a season 4.
that's
Great.
it. That's it. And
Yeah,
then it also remains to be seen how they fit these characters into the MCU as a whole on the big screen, which I think we'll talk about in another show. How do we integrate the Disney Plus characters into the on-screen film, big screen uh, universe? Which I mean, I know it's the same universe, but it's a little bit of a different animal.
yeah.
All right, nerds, what did you think? Tell us in the comments. Like, subscribe, give Jerry a foot rub. That's going to be the thing on every show now. I'm going to suggest that the audience gives you foot rubs. Is that all right with you? I think
I
so.
mean, maybe a better chance I win a Baron Zemo Funko Pop.
That's right. I think you'll definitely win the Funko Pop if you engage in such activities. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. Be good. Be good to each other. Later, nerds.
Stay nerdy.